Hey, what's up guys, it's Fish here and welcome back my glorious battle to another online battle for Medieval Kingdoms 1212 for Attila Total War. So, if you didn't watch my last 1212 video, this mod is now available to everyone. All you have to do is go over to the mod DB link and you can go ahead and download it, so make sure to go ahead and do that. And yeah, it's really awesome that you can now just find people online on this mod, because it is so much fun just, you know, coming up against you guys. So make sure to go over and show the mod some support. In today's battle, we're going to be doing a 2v2. It's almost like a East versus West battle. We have the Latin Empire and the Tsardom of Bulgaria on my side, along with Apollo helping command my allies. And then on the enemy side, we have the French and we also have Burgundy. So it's kind of like, you know, a West versus East kind of feel to it, even though obviously the Latin Empire and Bulgaria are a little bit further away than Burgundy and France. But it's still cool nonetheless. And also, look at the Latin cavalry. Just look how awesome they look. Really nice shields. I love their armor, and especially these feathers on top. Very cool indeed. So let's go ahead and unpause it, and we'll go ahead and run through the army comps. If you obviously want to skip this and jump straight to the battle, you can go ahead and click the skip annotation, which will hopefully take you there. And you can go ahead and just jump straight into the action. But if you do care about the army comps, then obviously stick around. So we'll go ahead and run through Apollo's army first. As you can see, my Bulgarian cavalry just swarming through. So first off, we have these late Latin knights, silver upgrades. I really love their shields. That's awesome. Then Apollo has some of these spear sergeants, which are just kind of like his meaningful spear infantry. These guys have chainmail on, so they're going to be able to kind of hold their own in a combat. And a pretty long reach on them spears as well. Then for his sword infantry is these Latin sergeants. Again, pretty heavily chainmailed up. Some axes and swords, not many blunt weapons, which may prove a little bit of a problem for them to kind of get past, because obviously we're up against the French, which have footmen at arms, which are super heavily armoured, but hopefully he doesn't come up against them. And even if he does, I'm sure his Latin sergeants will be able to deal with them. Then behind that he has a unit of halberdiers. These guys are very stable. These dudes are really good at coming up against like more heavily armoured sword infantry, because they just don't have the reach to really kind of deal with them. So that's awesome to kind of just drop a few of these guys into your army. And that's what you normally see when people play this mod. You normally see people focusing down the halberdiers, because they're so difficult to deal with if you don't have halberdiers of yourself. Then for his skirmisher component, he has 4 units of these crossbow sergeants. These dudes actually are pretty heavily armoured, so they're not going to kind of just get demolished if they go into melee combat. And that's something I'm trying to do when I play this mod, is if I get expensive archers, I try my best to go ahead and get them into melee combat after it started. Because, you know, once the infantry lines have clashed, using your archers as a couple units to flank or something is actually really useful, especially if you have heavily armoured archers. So that's pretty much Apollo's army. He does kind of have a pretty standard roster, like mainly the same sword infantry. You know, there's not many different units. So we'll go over to my Bulgarian army. I love the Bulgarians as well. Them, the Hungary and Poland are really fun. And also one of the interesting things about the Bulgarians is they actually only get 1 unit of shock cavalry besides their general. Like once you get 1 of them units, that's all you can get. Like it's like a special unit, and it's really cool because it kind of makes you play a lot differently compared to the other factions. So to begin with, I have my Bulgarian hook spearmen. A nice halberdier unit. I really like the way they obviously have the hooks on their spears. Going to be a really useful spear infantry, or I guess halberdier infantry, to kind of counteract the pikes of the enemy. Then I have my heavy infantry. These dudes mean business. Definitely will be able to kind of definitely hold their own against anything they come up against. I mean, maybe they're going to struggle against the French men at arms, but hopefully they'll be able to do well. Then I have my Bulgarian heavy spearmen. Again, a nicely heavily armoured unit. Like that's kind of one of the trade-offs you make with only being able to build 1 unit of elite shock cavalry, is the fact that we're actually going to slow it down to half speed whilst this goes on, just so I can get through everyone's army, is the fact that, you know, the rest of the infantry kind of is a little bit better, just because you can't get that elite shock cavalry, which is nice. Then I have some heavy archers, which is like the first time I ever really have brought like a heavy unit of archers, which isn't peasant archers. So I'm going to be using these guys, hopefully to put fire down on the French player, and hopefully kind of just picking away at his units. I've got 4 units of them. My heavy spears I've talked about. I've got some more hook pikes on my left flank, and then my cavalry. We have these Bulgarian heavy shock cavalry. We'll get a nice little look at them. So I also went ahead and gave these guys 3 chevrons of golden XP. I love their pig helmets as well, and their shields. They're kind of like understated as well, because they're not like plate armor. They've got chainmail on and some really cool shoulder pads, but they're not like fully brimmed to the teeth with like Aragonian cavalry or something like that, which is nice to see. And then to kind of make up the rest of my cavalry, which is already volleying, I have these 2 units of these heavy horse archers. They're really fast and they can kind of just do nice hit and run tactics, which I'm currently doing on the French player's cavalry. So, on the other side, the enemy side, the French player has some men-at-arms cavalry. Again, look how heavily armoured they are, with their warhammers and their maces. It's pretty scary. And he also has the lancers version as well. I love the way they've added the colours to the lancers as well. It's really cool. The French general over here. Is it a French king? Is it a French king? Yeah, it is. No, it's just, yeah, French king late. That's cool. Then for his infantry, he has 3 units of his men-at-arms. These guys are going to be a bitch to deal with, so I have to hopefully go ahead and just try and do something a little bit sneaky to go ahead and deal with them. Because if I come up against them 1v1 with my cavalry, it's just, I mean, with my infantry, they're going to obviously win the day. Then he has 2 units of spear militia, 2 units, or yeah, a couple units of these spear sergeants, a heavily armoured version of the spear militia, a few more spear sergeants. Then for his front line, he has these 2 units of halberdiers kind of all spread out to kind of act as a pretty scary front line. Like, obviously I can focus these down with my missiles, but if they go ahead and start, like, if I have to engage these guys, it's going to end badly for me. We also have some Pavis as well, just behind them to kind of help out his spear force. So he does have a lot of spears in this army, as you can see, but also, like, he's not lacking any infantry either. This French player has a really, really scary army. Some more sword sergeants to kind of make up the rest of his army. So finally, the Burgundy army consists of these Pavis spearmen. We have some of these foot knight retinue. I think he actually had about 5 of these foot knight retinue. It pretty much makes up his entire sword infantry force with heavily armoured axes and maces. Then he has 2 units of these pikemen. Again, if I come head on to these guys, it's going to be a bitch to deal with. 3 units of these peasant pikemen, then his cavalry force. Again, this cavalry is just so strong. I think it's like the same for like Aragon, and a few other factions have like access to this cavalry. But just look how heavily armoured they are. It's going to be very, very hard to deal with them for sure. So yeah, let's go ahead and just straight up start the battle. I think the battle pretty much starts over on my side, and then kind of we let that battle kind of take place, and then Apollo's battle kind of happens after all my stuff's done, which is really interesting for a battle to happen. So straight away, hold on, I want to pause it because I don't want to miss this charge, and I'm slow, got the camera too slow to kind of check it out. So I kind of move my horse archers around the side just to start harassing, because I'm not really too used to using horse archers, so I'm not really sure how good they are with their missile damage and stuff. But he can kind of completely neglected these guys and just let me get a really nice charge into the back of his crossbowmen. And this is going to just, you know, completely annihilate an entire unit. I guess he was kind of thinking maybe that because these are horse archers, they're not going to be that good in melee combat, and I'm just not going to get them involved. But, you know, he completely left his crossbowmen alone, so obviously I'm going to go ahead and take an advantage of this and just do a really nice hit and run tactic, get involved, and then just get the hell out of there. Just run my horse archers away as fast as possible. I'm going to lose a few of them. He also has his knights, his men-at-arms coming in, which are obviously going to be cutting down my horse archers if they're getting caught. And he is also pursuing them. My archer fire from my heavy archers is now coming in. It's going to be volleying over just to kind of pick up this big clump. Because he kind of, to counteract my horse archers, he did have to clump up a bunch of his infantry. And he's also going to follow on with his men-at-arms cavalry. And this is something which is kind of a bit questionable. He does try and pull out now, but like one of the main things for Medieval Kingdoms is once you engage in a battle, you kind of are committed to that battle. If you try and run out, you're going to go ahead and receive so many casualties. So you're kind of stuck to fighting once you've committed to a battle, which is a nice feature, you know. It makes you think about your decisions before actually doing anything. So straight up, he's kind of committed one unit of cavalry over here already, and he's also chasing away this unit of horse archers, which is actually faster than, which is I did not expect. So he's actually going to be chasing these horse archers down with his general and a unit of men-at-arms, which is good for me because it's meaning it's getting it away from the fight over here, but it also means that I'm kind of like down one unit of horse archers, which I really need to be using effectively. So, this unit of men-at-arms cavalry the French player threw at me is starting to dwindle. I've got my spearmen in. I also have a unit of my cavalry in. I hope I throw these guys in to help out. But my spearmen should be more than enough to deal with them. I did lose a bunch of my archers. I think my general's even going to come up and get involved. Oh no, maybe not. Yeah, we just straight up rout them, which is good. That kind of takes out a big portion of the enemy army straight away. Also, the use of this unit of men-at-arms is over here. I don't really know why it was so far out, but what we're going to do is we're just going to straight up surround it. We're going to straight up surround it and just kind of, again, just kind of take out a big portion of the French player's army. We have spears here, we have swords here, you know, they're completely surrounded. It's going to be a bit harder to kind of deal with them because they're men-at-arms, but we can obviously do that very, very easily. And you can see the men-at-arms in the distance advancing as the French player kind of tries his best to support this army as best as possible. But yeah, you can see we managed to go ahead and rout the men-at-arms fairly effectively. And I also get another charge off with my cavalry into these crossbowmen, and then just kind of hit and run and get them the hell out of there. Finally, my horse archers were actually caught and killed, which was pretty devastating for me. I'm not going to lie. We're also going to slow it down just a little bit because a lot of action kind of does happen in this small period of time. You can also see Pixie's army isn't actually really fully engaging the Burgundy player whatsoever, and he's also just trying to slowly move troops over towards me, which is kind of cool, you know. If we can kind of focus down one player before having to deal with the other one, it's going to be pretty good for us. So, I'm not going to be an idiot, even though, you know, like, I could just straight up attack and just fight these halberdiers. I'm not going to, because I'm going to get slaughtered if I fully engage them. So, I'm just going to take my time, you know. I might take a bit of damage on my front line from missile fire or crossbow fire, but it's worth it. I would get wrecked if I ran onto these halberdiers. So, what I'm going to do is just going to focus all my archers down onto these halberdiers and kind of just use this left flank as a pressure point. We can actually speed it up for a little bit after my cavalry. Oh no, Pixie's cavalry is actually over here as well. Yeah, he actually should go ahead and support me with a unit of his Latin knights, who again just look epic. He's fighting a unit of men-at-arms. Did a huge amount of damage to them on the charge. Yeah, Jesus, look at them casualties there. But now he's having to pull out. It's kind of hurting him a little bit. He's kind of like taking casualties. Also, I have a unit of my heavy cavalry over here fighting the French king. It was kind of worth throwing away this unit of cavalry because obviously we're against, what, like 2 units of horses against one of ours. It was kind of worth it to me because, you know, if I could kill his king, it's going to destroy his morale for sure. So, kind of throwing away my elite unit of cavalry, obviously with the support of Pixie's Latin Knights, I felt like it was a worthy trade. So we're actually going to go ahead and start off the engagement over here. Again, we'll slow it down just a little bit for this battle, whilst we look at the engagements. Yeah, you can see I've pretty much just completely ignored the halberdiers as I'm just peppering them with archer fire. And just kind of use the flanks, you know. There's nothing that tells me I have to engage from the front. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this flanking force here to go ahead and hit his spear sergeants and his footmen at arms as hard as possible, whilst it kind of almost ignoring these halberdiers and this right flank. You know, I can kind of just pull back everything to this left flank, and I'm going to try and just use that as best as possible. You can also see I'm bringing spears over to either help out over in that sword engagement, because it's not going to be going well for me whatsoever. He's got men at arms and spear sergeants, and he's bringing over some of the Burgundy cavalry to go ahead and help out there. So I feel like that engagement on the far right has been shut down by the French and Burgundy player. We're probably not going to kill the French king, but there's still a chance we can. And this is actually a charge by the French player. coming over to try and hit my infantry in the side, my spear infantry in the side with his sword sergeants. But that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and counter that with a unit of my swords. What even are these guys? These guys, yeah, these are just Bulgarian swordsmen. They're not heavy swords. So I'm going to go ahead and just stop throwing all my infantry around this flank to go ahead and just try and create this really cool envelopment. You can see they're forming up now, getting ready to charge. And they're going to charge into that melee. And just create a really nice surround on them. And the spears are going to come in from the side as well to plug that gap. So if we look at in this engagement, like, all I really need is one more unit around here to completely envelop them. And if we go ahead and do this map mode, you can definitely see the envelopment. And I also have a unit of spearmen coming over as well. I also have my hook pike over here as well. My pike infantry. They're engaging some of the spear sergeants from a French player. But yeah, you can see, like, we've done a decent amount of damage to his general, 39 out of 50, but it's just not enough really right now, which is a real shame. And some of his general units, some of his cavalry did actually come back. Oh no, this was actually a normal cavalry unit. Yeah, he actually has a men-at-arms or men-at-arms cavalry unit over here, which is actually fighting with my general, which was really risky, to say the least. But my general unit is a beast. Like, look at these guys. It's a very, very nice cavalry unit. I'm going to go ahead and use my horse archers to also support that, because I feel like my general could maybe do it on his own, but I don't want to risk it. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in my general unit and my horse archer unit. And as he's trying to pull out from the engagement, like, he's just getting wrecked. You just can't do it. So nice spear unit, managed to go ahead and rout a unit of a crossbowman. And you can see over here, I've kind of just committed a unit of swordsmen here against like a big portion of enemy forces. And then kind of just using this unit of swordsmen in shield wall just to kind of protect my flank. I have no desire to really engage all of this. So I'm going to kind of just hold them in place with a unit of my heavy infantry, which, may I say, are doing a very, very good job considering how much enemy force they are actually against. They're doing a very, very nice job. They're actually against these spearmen as well. So shout out to them. Also, Apollo is over here with just a unit of his Latin sergeants helping me out, just kind of tying up more of a French player. And you can see the Burgundy force is kind of just sitting back and watching it. There's a bit of cavalry engagement from the Burgundy player. But, you know, him and a remote kind of Apollo's army are kind of just chilling out right now. And Apollo's slowly using the woods to bring over more infantry to my fight, which is definitely helping us out for sure. I'm going to go ahead and bring up a unit of my spears over there as well. Unfortunately, though, my cavalry and my pikemen have finally been beaten by the mountain sergeants and the French late king, which really sucks. So what I'm going to be using is I'm going to be continuing this contain over around this infantry unit. But I'm also going to be using my spearmen to try my best to kind of just protect my infantry as much as possible. I'm also going to go ahead and just try and rout this halberdier unit, because I feel like if I can rout the halberdier unit quickly, it will help me out. The mountain sergeants of the Burgundy soldiers are going to clash into my spear sergeants, throwing a few of them back. I think his main goal was to try and catch my general. Again, my general's no bitch. He's going to dive straight into combat against the French player. You can see the horses in there. And if we look at the balance of power, it's still very much even. We kind of have the advantage with a couple of extra 100 men. Rest of the Burgundy sergeants, I think, are going to start pulling out now, trying to get out of there. But again, they're going to be suffering so much damage on pulling out. You can see their numbers just dropping, and my cavalry, you know, actually my spearmen are chasing them, so they're not going to let up, and they're actually going to manage to rout them, which is really awesome. Got my horse archers causing a real nuisance over here. Going to go ahead and pull out my general because I don't want him to kind of take any more casualties than he already does. I'm going to throw in a unit of my spearmen to kind of counteract not having a unit here, which is going to be really nice as these guys pour in. You can see my general is pretty much at full strength as well, which is very nice indeed. So I have an awesome surround on this flank right now. I finally went ahead and lost my heavy infantry on this right flank, but I went ahead and reinforced it finally, bringing up my archers as well, because I kind of felt like I was actually winning over here due to having superior sword infantry. Now the Burgundy player is bringing up the rest of his heavy elite cavalry, and this is going to be painful for me. This is going to be very, very painful. I'm trying to go ahead and counteract it, but it's just too late. And they're just going to smash him. Look at that impact. That is just huge. And they're just going to cause so many casualties into my battle line. Really helping out his French ally here with his cavalry. I did manage to catch a few horses over here, but still, he got the majority of the horses in there. Luckily, he did charge spear infantry, so once the spear infantry turn around, I should actually be able to kill a few of these horses. You can see a few of them getting caught up by my spear infantry, if I can actually speak. But still, that heavy cavalry is still a real big problem. If I can't deal with it, it's going to be, yeah, as I said, a real big problem. I just don't know how it's gonna, like, I just don't have any cavalry left, which is my problem. Got my Cantavian circle with my horse archers being a nuisance to his spear sergeant unit. So now that he's kind of got his cavalry running around, I'm going to be using my spear infantry as best I can, just to kind of try and act as a shield for my infantry. And again, another brutal charge. I did actually manage to form shield wall just in time on a few of them soldiers. I've got archer fire coming down as well, and throwing in another unit of spear infantry. Because after the initial charge, this cavalry is going to not be doing so heavy against my spear infantry. And especially if he keeps trying to pull out his cavalry after every engagement, I'm not going to be too scared. Apollo's got his Latin knights as well. Going to get an awesome charge in. They're going to be smashing into the side of these Burgundy cavalry. And having these guys over here, all we need is this cavalry unit to hold them in place, because my spear infantry is now going to go ahead and follow up on this engagement and actually go ahead and start, you know, slowing these guys down, bogging them down. Apollo has some more of his halberdiers coming into the fight. All we have to do is slow these guys down. I'm going to get an awesome charge by my Bulgarian king, or my Bulgarian Tsar, sorry. He's going to smash into the footmen at arms. We're just going to clash him. But look how long these guys have been fighting for. Like, they've been surrounded for a long-ass time, and yet they're still holding their own. So, a massive shout-out to the French infantry. They just do not rout. And it's not just men. Like, I have literally surrounded these units pretty much throughout the entire battle, and they're still standing. And it's not just the footmen at arms, it's also the foot sergeants as well. So even a lower tier infantry unit is still just doing very, very well in the battle. Definitely very, very impressive. You can see the cavalry, the French cavalry is starting to dwindle. I think they're actually trying to get out of there as much as possible. Yeah, you can see, but the Latin cavalry is just too strong for them. And we're starting to go ahead and overwhelm the French player. So now that we've kind of fully surrounded them over here, me and Apollo decided it was time to go ahead and push on the Burgundy player. We managed to actually go ahead and, oh no, you can see the French king is still alive, but I'm going to use my archers just to go ahead and focus him down and just try and kill him. And you can see the arrows are definitely finding their marks. For sure, because I don't think the French player was really paying too much attention over here. So I'm just going to focus him down with my archers. Because if we can kill the French army, like, we can just go ahead and break all of this, and then it'll free up so much infantry. Oh my god, oh, I want to pause it. I do not want to miss this charge by the Latin Knights. I definitely do not want to miss this charge. Let's go ahead and get a nice cinematic ass view over here. And let's go slow-mo. Let's go some slow-mo. Oh, they're turning as well. They're about to get wrecked. Oh, as they just clash in. Look at them just getting capsized. Awesome. The Latin Knights took no prisoners there. Just flattened the French soldiers. That was awesome. And they're going to go ahead and just get stuck in and hopefully rout this French, like, kind of this last stand of the French. Especially now the general's dead. That's going to be devastating. Devastating for the French player. You can see his men are instantly wavering. Especially with my general involved in this battle as well. And my general's only down to 42 men. He's been engaged for a long time. So now that we've killed him, my archers can definitely go ahead and focus on a different unit. Probably we're focusing down these pike units. Me and Apollo definitely went ahead. You can see both of these pike units are very depleted. It's because me and Apollo made sure we shot them as much as we physically could. The Latin Empire is now engaged though along the Burgundy front. We'll get a nice little look down here. Let's go ahead and start from one side. Click play. And let's just watch this engagement unfold. So we have the Latin sergeants up against the, what are these guys, like these Bulgarian spears, I guess? They look like they have pretty big shields, so. And on my flank, pretty much all I'm going to do is just be routing the rest of the French player and then bringing my forces over for a pretty nice hammer and anvil strike. Oh, that guy just got his head chopped off. Brutal. The Latin infantry. Like all Apollo has to do is just hold this guy in place. He doesn't need his infantry to win. He doesn't need to outflank or anything, because we have the entire, well, what's left of the entire Bulgarian army coming down on that left flank. Also have my archers as well pounding away at the back of these soldiers. And I think Apollo also has some of his Latin cavalry just chilling around as well, so that's nothing to be scared about. God, look how long this battle line is. We're still going. This is awesome. A real long battle line. The flags are being held high. They are fighting for their lives. So it was really cool. And also the halberdiers as well on this right flank should be having an absolute field day on this right flank, because they just got such a longer range than the swords. And they're also being supported by a unit of Latin sergeants as well, just pushing back the Burgundy spearmen. There's also a small engagement down here as well, which I never even realized. Well, this Burgundy spearmen are really heavily armored. So as you can see, oh, here we go. Yeah, this is probably the best part of the battle for sure. What happens is, now that we've won the cavalry engagement, we're going to go ahead and just straight up abuse this Burgundy player with our cavalry superiority. Just start hammer and anvil striking down the entirety of this back flank. Just hitting with our generals coming in. You can see another charge over here. Just pushing them onto the Latin infantry, which are more than happy to receive them. Gonna be just going deep into the enemy backs. Apollo also calls to me to help him out. He's like, Jackie, come on, you've got some cavalry. Let's go ahead and just completely annihilate his infantry. So my Bulgarian king, or my Bulgarian Tsar, is going to go ahead and also help Apollo. He's pulling out his cavalry for another charge. And you can just see the backs of this infantry are like so depleted. You can see the casualties. Look at all this death. The horses are just wrecking. You know, cavalry is so important in this mod. So we'll go ahead and speed up until they turn again. Again, the cavalry is turning. We're going to go ahead and get another epic charge over here. Just going to smash into this spear infantry and just cause a massive impact. Again, we have some more Latin knights coming in. God, they just look so epic. They're a really nice looking unit. They're going to come smashing into the back of the enemies. Again, and the Latin, the Burgundy player just can't hold up to this. Not having this cavalry is just going to be really devastating. And his infantry is going to rout eventually. I've got my Bulgarian Tsar coming in as well. He's ready to go ahead and support Apollo's infantry and his horses, just by smashing in, really causing a dent in the enemy line. And you can see his infantry are just really taking damage now. They're all down to half strength pretty much. Another charge by Apollo's general into the back of the enemy. God, look at these hammer and anvil strikes. That is just disgusting. That really is. And you can see we pretty much just annihilated the center. We completely just demolished it with our horses. Just hammer and anvil striking. Also actually managing to catch the Burgundy general as well with a unit of the Latin knights. If we can go ahead and rout them here, and like as soon as we kill the Burgundy general, the battle will be over, because our cavalry superiority, our hammer and anvil strikes are just too much for the enemy front line to handle. With archer fire coming over, because you know, even if we cause friendly fire, all we need to do is really kill the Burgundy king, and the battle will be ours. We also throw in some spearmen as well to help out on this. So he's kind of screwed. He has to fight this battle, because if he tries to run away, he's going to receive so many casualties turning his back. So we have pretty much fully surrounded him as well now. Got some more of my spearmen coming involved, which have finally got over from the French flank. They're going to be charging in as best they can. I also went ahead and used my infantry to come up on the backs of the Burgundy infantry just to completely rout it. You can see it's routing everywhere. The Burgundy King is finally routing. Hopefully we can kill him as he tries to run away like the cowardless dog he is. As more of my sword infantry just pour in, which is kind of funny. You can see the Burgundy does have a few units of PVs which are still standing. But for how long can they stand? I doubt for much longer, that's for sure. There's like 2 of them. If we look at the units, we have 3,000 men left, and the enemy forces have around about 300. So we have 10 times the enemy force right now. It's looking very, very good for me and Apollo. And we're pretty much just going to go ahead and clean up the rest of the battle. There's a few soldiers left, but we did go ahead and win. And I actually was so surprised by the amount of kills my archers got. Like, we'll go ahead and look after this battle just finally ends as we finally rout this last unit of PVs. God, the PVs are just so good. They're just so heavily armoured. They hold for, like, forever. It's actually pretty disgusting how good they actually are. So yeah, if we look at it, look how many kills my archers got. 208, 203, and 187. That's pretty crazy. I got a unit of horse archers getting 104, which is nice. Some of my heavy infantry as well did a very good job, you know, all getting over 100. And they were up against, you know, elite foot men-at-arms, and obviously along with some actual units of PVs. But, you know, they were up against a sturdy opponent, so very impressive. I mean, even my spear infantry did really good. Like, I kind of feel like the trade-off is the Bulgarian infantry is really good, but you just kind of don't get enough shock cavalry to kind of, you know, fight like kind of like the French and stuff. But, you know, the infantry is really, really good, along with the archers as well. And also my general, my Tsar King got, or my Tsar got 213 kills. So that's pretty good. Apollo's men, oh, look at his general. His Latin Knights just being the MVPs, racking up almost 300 kills. Crossbowmen as well, you can see our crossbowmen and our archers focus down the enemy halberdiers and pikes. This unit of halberdiers only getting 0 kills, so pretty bad. The French player, men-at-arms did pretty good. The foot men-at-arms is very good. And the Burgundy player, his infantry kind of let him down, but that's kind of not his fault. Once the engagement happened, we just hammer and anvil strike them, and they just couldn't really do anything. The cavalry did pretty good though, and so did this unit of mounted melee cavalry as well. It did really good. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this battle. Make sure to go ahead and drop a like and a comment. Also subscribe if you haven't already, and obviously go check out Apollo's channel. And I'll see you guys next time. And fish out.